Yeah, so like UConn was one of the schools in the list that I sent him, and they ended up coming to see me when I was playing in Massachusetts,
Mm-hmm.
and um, Coach Mack came to see me. I think I did pretty well that game, and like later in the summer, I ended up having an arm problem, and that was after I got like a good bit of offers, and a lot of like the SEC schools took the scholarship away, which I mean that's usually what they do. But one of the schools that didn't was UConn, and they stuck with it. They're like, we're not going to take this away from you, stuff like that. So like that right there was a big factor as to why I chose UConn. Like that was really an eye opener. Um, but yeah, I mean, ended up committing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a perfect fit. Everything's great. Uh, Everything happens for a reason, so it's great.
You said the SEC took your offers because you had plenty. It sounds like did they take it away because of the arm injury?
Yeah, yeah, they took it away because yeah, because the arm injury. But they said later in the summer all I need to do is throw again because they knew my arm was fine again.
Mm-hmm.
So they just said I needed to throw again, but it was to the point where UConn was there, they didn't take it away. So I didn't want to like go to a school that was that quick to drop me if something happened.
Now, what was the arm injury, if you don't mind me asking?
It was bicep tendonitis. So I had a decent amount of pain in here when I would throw, but I mean it's
Mhm.
been fixed. They said it may have been from swimming, and I haven't swum in a while, so it hasn't been bothering me.
Jeez. I mean, hey, they lost out on a talent, man, to not stick with you. They let UConn get their way in, and as soon as
I
UConn
know.
got in,
That's right.
they took you away.
Exactly.
What were some, I mean, if you can, what were some of the SEC schools? Because I'm a big South Carolina fan. So,
hmm Alabama, Missouri, Kentucky. So it's like those were three of the main
uh,
ones.
and Kentucky and Missouri, if I remember right, the last 2 years, I think they had some big time lefties get drafted out of their programs, if I'm correct.
I believe so. Yes.
Because one was drafted, the Mizzou kid was drafted by the Yankees. Stickema, I think that was, oh no, Sycamore, that was his name.
hmm
And then Kentucky had a lefty that was drafted, I think, by the Mariners. I could be wrong, but
hmm
that's pretty cool, though, man. That's cool.
Yeah. hmm
So, were you always a two-way? I mean, I know coming through the high school ranks, you were a two-way, but did UConn, when they recruited you, did they say, "Hey, we're going to keep you as a two-way through and through"?
They did. They did. I would never say I was any better at either. Like right now, I'd say I'm better at hitting,
Hmm.
but yeah, I've always been a two-way.
Is that something that you've always felt like that you could do both? Because I know playing one position is tough. Playing two positions and being good at both is something that, as you get older, as you know, it becomes more difficult because you face higher competition. The pitching side, you face higher velocity. Same thing with the hitting side. So that must have been difficult for you for a while.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, as long as I know I'm putting all the work in that I need to do, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, I want to put more time into pitching. I really haven't like my whole life. I just was one of those kids that like threw somewhat hard, so they would just throw me on the mound. So I would say I'm a thrower, not really a pitcher, but I really want to become a pitcher.
Would you say that, I know you're still, young, you still have a couple years left before the draft. Would you view yourself having better potential? And again, I know it's early, but would you view yourself having more of a chance to get drafted as a pitcher or as a hitter?
As of right now, I would say hitter, but like in this past, well, the 2019 draft, the
Mhm.
Royals said that I would be able to do both. So they drafted me. I was primarily a hitter to them. They drafted me as a pitcher, but they said I'd be able to do both. So
Okay.
I mean, the draft coming up, I mean, I would like to do both,
Mhm.
but I would say hitting for right now if I had to guess.
Well, if you think about it too, the game is kind of changing where now two ways are starting to become a thing. Michael Lorenzen with the Reds. You think about McKay from Louisville, who's now with the Rays. I mean, Hunter Green had some time where he was doing both. There's, I like I'm big on change when it comes to certain things, and I think Major League Baseball, with the way the rules are and everything, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, also Otani too with the Angels. I think there's going to
Yeah,
be the next 10 years. I think we could see a player or two who has a chance to be able to play both positions, man. And who
I
knows,
agree.
maybe you could be that one player. You could be the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want to limit myself because you do see those guys now that are doing both, so might as
Mhm.
well give it a shot.
Now, coming through as you were going through the high school ranks, because I read an article from Matt Powers, who mentioned in the draft, or in 2019, May 19th, he said the 2019 MLB draft sleeper prospect, Reggie Crawford. And he said that he met you, and the first thing that you did is that you shook his hand, and you were polite, you were kind. And he said, I think you know where I'm going with this. He said that that was the first thing that jumped out to him, that even with all of the camaraderie and all the success that was coming your way, you still kept a level head and you still kept that mature attitude.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not wanting to burn a bridge with anyone. I mean, I don't want anyone to say something to someone about me and be like, yeah, this kid, he's cocky, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But I want everybody to say that about me. So I make sure that I don't do anything that would make people not say that about me,
Mhm.
So that's just one of those things that I try to pride myself on.
He also said too that the other thing that jumped out to him was the fact that you had 3+ pitches, at least at the start, that he saw. Also your frame, because you're projectable, you're a left-hander, you have the fast, the curve, and the changeup at that time. And that's something that really kind of attracted you to scouts because of the frame, man. 6'4", a typical pitcher's body, especially being a left-hander, it's pretty good.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, just trying to build it up more and more every single day. I mean, I started lifting. I think the summer going into senior year, because I wouldn't lift much because of swimming. I would just do specific like swimming workouts and stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah, summer going into senior year is when I started working out, and that's really when my body changed a lot. So really benefited me.
Was there anything in particular as far as, going into school, going into UConn? Was there anything as far as not so much a culture shock, but was there anything in particular that kind of took you back like, oh, okay, I'm not used to this, so this will take me a little bit of time?
I mean, not really, because like when I go into situations, I look at it beforehand. So I don't know. I mean, there was nothing that really shocked me, I would say, because I look at all the scenarios, everything before where I assess the situation. So I mean, there wasn't really anything that was
Mhm.
different for me.
So then if you were looking at the roster and you saw that you and Garrett Coe were on the same team, you could make up 2/5 of the UConn football offensive line. Just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
two left-handers who are
Uh-huh.
6'4", 6'5" plus,
Yeah,
man. You can't build that too much around here, you know?
yeah, exactly.
Now, again, I know Garrett Cole from his time with the Blues. Was there anything as far as, because you both are tall pitchers and you both kind of have the same repertoire, do you guys bounce things off as far as ideas or maybe scouting reports or such?
I mean, he could help me out more than I could help him out because he's more the pitcher than me. But
Mm.
like he'll give me tips when I'm pitching. Like I think I was in a bullpen in the fall, and I think I was throwing my slider, and he's like, think about think about hitting your back hip when you throw it. So then that'll help you really finish through the pitch.
Mhm.
And now every time I throw my slider or my curve, I always think of that. So then it really helps.
That's interesting because it's, with pitching, it could be any little kind of tinker or any little thing that someone tells you that kind of just clicks. Now, when he told you that, and I know that the season was shortened and I know there wasn't a lot of work to be done as far as on the mound for you, but did you feel like that after he told you that maybe now I was able to find my slider?
Oh, definitely. That right there just changed it when he told me that, because I really would not finish that pitch a lot, so I would leave it high and arm side. But
Mm-hmm.
ever since then, I could really control it a lot better and really break it harder if I wanted to.
As a pitcher, what would you say your strengths are, and then what would you say your weaknesses are with pitching being so new to you per se?
For me, I would say one of my weaknesses is not being able to um, repeat my mechanics. I feel as if I struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes I have different arm slots, and I'm not really trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's one of my weaknesses. Um, I would say one of my strengths are having like decent pitches. I have a good amount of movement on my fastball. Um, the slider and the curve, they're different, but they're both efficient. I mean, I don't have a changeup really right now. That's what I'm working on really, but um, yeah, I would say those are my strengths and weaknesses.
As far as the weaknesses are concerned with repeating your mechanics, do you think that's just because, like you mentioned earlier, and I think that, again, for you to say that I'm a thrower, not a pitcher, and to realize that, I think is a
Mhm.
mature approach. Do you think that because you just haven't had the reps, and not to say that you tire out because you're a big kid, you're strong, but do you think that just not having the the elongated amount of innings that you need to be a pitcher to just get that kind of going?
Yeah, definitely. I would say just like lack of reps, not from this season obviously, but
Mhm.
just like senior year, I had a little bit of an arm issue also, so I didn't have many innings there. I didn't play summer ball going into freshman year,
Mhm.
so that was that was why I missed out on some innings also. But yeah, I mean, just not really like not not knowing what to think of when I'm like on the mound, like regarding mechanics and stuff. I think that's like one of the biggest things, um, and just yeah, just lack of reps, I would say.
Now I want to go to the hitting side because I think that's something that, again, talking with Co, he told me that you had one of the pretty, or have, I shouldn't say had, because your swing is still the same. You have one of the prettiest swings that he's ever seen, and it's tough because, and I was able to watch a couple videos of your swing, man. It seems like you're able to keep that bat in the strike zone for a long time, but it's not so much the bat as it is the barrel of the bat. You keep it back all the way through, man. Have you always had that swing?
No, I mean, my swing for me, I would say it didn't get good until the winter of senior year, because before I would just I know more what to do with hitting than I do for pitching. So like um I know I don't know yeah, so the winter going into senior year, well, winter of senior year,
Mhm.
I worked with this one guy, Reggie Crawford. He played in the big leagues for a few years. He was a pitcher actually, and yeah, I mean, it went from not knowing what I was doing to actually knowing what I was doing, and then went on from there. Because I mean, I would work with him, and then I would just watch people just take pieces of everyone's swings and try to put into my own. But
Mhm.
mine is constantly changing. I mean, obviously, the velocity from high school to college is a lot different, and my swing when I got into college wasn't going to work.
Mhm.
Uh, so I had to use the fall, just tweaking, making adjustments, stuff like that. Um, just going into the barn and just setting our machine up at I would put out like 100 and just work from there. Because if I get 100, then I mean I could hit some other stuff. So uh, I would just mess around with stuff, play around with things, just try to find a swing that would work for me. So I would say I had like 6 different swings the fall in the fall. So um, even my swing in the spring, I was just still messing around with it, trying to find what I like, trying to find a feel that I like, stuff
Mhm.
like that. Yeah, I'm still constantly just trying to find this swing. I mean, it's just constantly adjustments and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm still working towards my swing, but I'm just trying to take bits and pieces from everything, trying to study people's swing, stuff like that, and working towards it.
And not just studying the swings too, but you also have been around a lot of talent as far as being at the pro level. You mentioned one player already. I know in the article going back to May 19th that Matt Powers wrote, he said that you were around or were working out with Travis Blankenhorn and also Nico Holsteiser. So being around those kind of guys as far as being at the pro level, you know,
Mhm.
that I would think, again, what do I know? But I would think that would help make your growth even faster as far as a hitter is concerned, because now you're able to pick the brain of guys who were not just or went through one system, but now have been in the pros and know what it takes to be at that level, and not just be at the level, but stick at the level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having those guys just so close to me, that's really that's really really good. I was just in Texas recently, and I was working out with like Torrey Hunter Jr., Royce Lewis, who was a number 1 pick overall like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Guys like that, we were seeing former big leaguers. They were thrown to us. So I mean, I've been able to pick all those, all their brains and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's really a benefit being able to work out with those guys, because then you could just see what their mindset is like in pro ball, see what they're thinking when they're hitting or pitching or stuff like that. And it's a huge advantage.
Was there anything in particular that you can share that you asked as far as picking their brain? Because I'm sure you must have asked every question known to mankind, just knowing the kind of player that you are.
Yeah, well, for me, it was just them telling me things like, well, I'll be hitting.
Mhm.
So, um, so like they were talking about when I was hitting, sometimes I would chase at pitches, like not over and over again, but a decent amount. And they said, like when somebody finds a pitch that you struggle with,
Mhm.
they're going to try to attack that. And if they have a pitch that you're really strong with it, they're going to try to stay away from that one. So I mean, like it's obvious, but it's like one of those things until you really hear it, it doesn't really click.
Mhm.
So like they told me that. Um, I don't know, just things with the swings and stuff like that. I mean, it was really good.
And being able to go up against those kind of guys or just be able to talk because of the season being so shortened, you lost out on a lot of innings, a lot of at bats. So being able to kind of get the requisite amount during the off season and, during this whole pandemic, in a lot of ways, you've done more than probably a lot of players have been able to do because they either can't, they don't have the connections or they just can't go out and do it. So your growth is getting bigger. You're moving up and you could be far ahead of guys by this time next season.
Exactly, exactly. I feel as if, I mean, just working out with those guys, I
Mhm.
took a huge leap with my swing and my thought process with everything. It was really beneficial.
Now, there's one question that I forgot to ask. Now, this is going back a little bit. Since you're from Pennsylvania, do you feel like that being from this side, being in the Northeast, quote unquote, did you ever feel like that you were because when you go up against other guys who are from like Texas or California and whatnot, they play baseball year round. Where in the Northeast, we can only play because I'm from Connecticut. You can only play for a certain amount of months because obviously it gets cold. You can't
Yeah.
play year round. Did you ever feel like that you had to catch up to certain guys at some point, or was it that you kept yourself in such great shape physically and with baseball shape that it wasn't much of a worry?
I mean, I feel as if I kept myself in good shape, but like, yeah, you obviously miss out on a lot of reps. But I
Mm,
feel as if not playing all year round really benefited me, because then it came to the point where when I was able to actually play a good bit, uh, I learned stuff twice as quick, and I've adjusted twice as quick. And instead of just a gradual, I guess just gradually getting better, it was really more of
mhm.
a straight shot to getting better. So I mean, uh, I think missing out on a lot of reps and then just suddenly getting those reps really,
Mhm.
really was beneficial. And I mean, just helped me get a lot better, like super fast, I would say.
I've always believed in all the times I've been watching baseball and then also watching because I love prospects, being able to track guys and see how they do in their career. I've always believed that depending on, like, for example, if you look at the ACC or you look at teams from the Northeast, I always felt like guys, if they were good, but they were projectable and they showed glimpses of being better, that because a lot of them from around this area don't have the reps. Whereas compared to guys that you see in
Mhm.
the SEC and down there, they play so long that you kind what you see is what you get. But like
Yeah, exactly.
yourself, you're from the Northeast, Pennsylvania. You haven't thrown a lot. Like you said, you're a pitcher, not a thrower. You're still raw. Even your hitting, where, I mean, for crying out loud, you can't do any better than what you did your freshman year, 365. I mean, you can't do much better than that. But even then, you're still raw there. You're still getting better. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine what you'll be when you have there's a saying where after 10,000, 15,000 at bats or whatnot, then you know what you are as a hitter. You've
Hmm.
just hit you've just hit the tip of the iceberg, man,
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
But yeah, I mean, because I was talking to George Springer, I was on a Zoom call with him not too long ago, and he was saying like he was in the same boat. I mean, he wasn't exposed to many things, and when he really was, like especially pro ball, where they're playing just every day, like pretty much all year round, it was just the gradual incline, and then he just hit it, and then he just really took off, and he got so much better so fast, and um, he said, yeah, he was just in the same boat as I was when he was my age.
You're on some baseball royalty. Torrey Hunter Jr., Royce Lewis, who
Hmm.
was the first round pick a couple years ago from the Twins. You're talking to George Springer. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Are you ever like just
I
keep?
know,
I
I
mean,
know.
I'm sure you're not shell shocked because you've been around. It sounds like you've been around guys left and right for a long time who are big time guys. But do you ever kind of think to yourself like, wow, okay, I'm talking to George Springer. I'm talking to Torrey Hunter Jr., who his dad was a pretty good baseball player.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool. I mean, they're people too, so I mean,
That's true. That's
it's it it's fun. It's really cool, and I really appreciate. Like I don't take it for granted when I get to talk to guys with that like that or work out with guys like that. So it's cool.
What's the saying? They put on the same baseball pants as everyone else. They put on the same pair of pants as we do.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mhm. And they were yeah, exactly.
Is there anything in particular, just to go back to the George Springer conversation, was there anything that you talked about that you want to share? Just anything that kind of really jumped out to you?
Uh, I mean, it was that because like for me, like missing out on so many reps and being at the spot that I'm at right now, and I still feel as if I I my swing from last season, I did not feel that it was good. I didn't feel like it was my best swing at all. I mean, I did pretty well, and like knowing that there's a lot of things to fix. I mean, it's a good feeling to me
Mm-hmm.
because then I feel as if I could only get better from it. But yeah, for me, the thing with George that stuck out was him saying that he was in the same position. Like when he really got to the point where he could just play all the time, that's when it really took off.
That's awesome, man. Reggie, I really do appreciate you coming on. I just have one more question to ask you. Looking forward to next season, and that's, we're all hoping the pandemic will be over by then and you guys can get back to playing and everything can get back to somewhat normalcy. Where do you see yourself as a two-way? Because by then you'll be getting the reps hitting wise, and then pitching, you would think that you want to try to take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the goal is to get a lot better at pitching, and I want to get to the point where I'm like pitching every weekend along with hitting every weekend. So I want to be more consistent of a pitcher, pitching games and all that. And I mean, that's one of my goals. So
Well, Reggie, I wish you nothing but the best of luck the rest of the way as far as the offseason is concerned. Hopefully, things will get better and then you can start playing some ball somewhere, all of you, because to miss out on what was a valuable year for the seniors and for even freshmen like yourself, it's a year you can't get back. But what you guys are doing, what you're doing by continuing to work and to make up for lost time shows the kind of aptitude and what you have going far forward as far as your baseball career is concerned.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.